An impresario is someone who manages and promotes artistic performances. In this context, we'll see leaders as not just creators of identity, but as those who actively manage and promote that identity within the group. And this involves fostering rituals, celebrating shared values, and reinforcing the boundaries of the in group. And we'll discuss how leaders cultivate and maintain a strong sense of collective identity to ensure its continued influence and impact. Think of them as conductors, ensuring the orchestra of identity plays in harmony. Now, collective events are more than just gatherings, they are potent arenas for orchestrating identity. The way these events are designed and experienced profoundly impact how individuals perceive their belonging and the nature of the collective us. Consider the psychology of inclusion and exclusion. Who's invited and who participates and who is visibly absent sends very powerful signals about who's considered part of the in group and who is not, directly shaping the boundaries of identity. Furthermore, the emphasis and framing within an event, like what symbols are prominent, what messages are repeated, what emotions are evoked, actively shapes perceptions of shared values, historical narratives, and the distribution of power within the group. And so we'll look at some stark examples through the lens of event psychology. This meticulously, for instance, staged Nazi rallies were chillingly effective in projecting an image of absolute order, unquestioning obedience to Hitler, and a unified, albeit terrifying, national identity. In contrast, Polish celebrations, particularly during periods of oppression, served as powerful affirmations of collective agency and a celebration of resilient popular national identity. And even the contrasting ceremonies in Syria revealed competing visions of the nation, highlighting the tension between elite driven narratives and the aspirations of the broader populace. Now, our understanding of identity formation extends beyond words and events to the tangible realm of objects and spaces. And these elements are not merely passive backdrops, they actively shape and reinforce the sense of us. So, physical objects like monuments, flags, and national symbols serve as powerful, visible embodiments of shared values, history, and belonging. They provide concrete anchors for abstract concepts of identity. Similarly, physical spaces, public squares, national memorials, even the layout of cities become crucial arenas for collective experience. These are the places where shared rituals occur, where collective memories are evoked, and where the bonds of group identity are physically enacted and strengthened. And consider the following example through this lens. The construction of numerous Bismarck towers across Germany served as a deliberate and visually imposing assertion of German national unity and power of the state. Conversely, the historical relative lack of grand, unifying national monuments, specifically celebrating a singular Scottish identity, might have to some degree influenced the visual cohesion and external projection of that identity. Finally, the imposing and often monumental architecture of the Nazi regime was intentionally designed to visually communicate and enforce their ideology, emphasizing hierarchy, control, and the absolute centrality of the Fuhrer. The very spaces they created were meant to instill a sense of powerlessness in the individuals and reinforce the dominance of the state. And as we close section 3, in this section, we've seen how leaders act as impresarios, staging events and creating spaces that embody and reinforce particular identities. And these performances can be powerful tools, but their impact demands on whether they are used to empower or control. And of course, to wrap up chapter 7, as has shown us that leadership is fundamentally intertwined with the concept of shared identity. It's not just a side issue, it's at the heart of how leaders gain influence and achieve change. We've explored how effective leaders wear three hats: Firstly, they're artists of identity, skillfully using language to craft a compelling vision of who we are as a group, drawing on our values, history, and aspirations. Second, they're impresarios of identity, creating powerful collective experiences through events and strategically using symbols to enact and reinforce that shared identity. And third, they are engineers of identity, building the necessary structures and institutions to make their vision of us tangible. And it's crucial to remember that this power of identity can be used for both positive and negative purposes. It can unite people for progress, but it can also be manipulated to create division and conflict. In the end, what the chapter really argues is that leadership, in its essence, is the complex and demanding work of identity management, shaping, mobilizing, and directing the power of us. And of course, as always, there are a few questions. Feel free in the comments to discuss. How does the concept of social identity challenge traditional views of leadership that focus primarily on authority and control? Can you think of examples of leaders who rely on each approach? The second, why is it important for leaders to understand the existing social identity of a group before attempting to shape it? What might happen if a leader's vision clashes with the group's established sense of us? And third, to control the definition of society is to have a world-making power. What are the ethical implications of this statement? How can this power be used for good or ill? Thank you so much for tuning in to this lesson.